This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Nala has been very thankful to be working with Surfshark in her quest for divine thumbs. Source? She told me herself, bro. While she still may not be all that great at Melee, she's figured out how to tech in real life, which is pretty insane, and all of that improvement is thanks to Surfshark. Surfshark has a discounted VPN plan that includes unlimited devices, a no-logs policy, high-speed connections, and 24/7 customer support. With Surfshark, you can watch block content from other countries, so Nala was able to watch me commentate P+ the other week without fear of the ninjas coming to ruin her day. What Nala loves the most about Surfshark, though, aside from almost having thumbs, is that they also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee if she's ever not feeling it. So what are you waiting for? Nala's thumbs need your help. Check out the link in the description, that's surfshark.deals/Walt, or use my code WALT when you get Surfshark VPN and you'll receive an extra 3 months for free. Also, if you don't get Surfshark, Nala may never reach her dream of having thumbs, so put that on your moral compass. Thanks again to Surfshark for supporting the channel, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. As the last tournament of the summer rankings and just after back-to-back weekends of high-level Melee, Get On My Level will be the final opportunity for Smashers to get their name on the map. Remarkably, 3 players hold 2 major wins apiece heading into GOML. If one of them wins, the argument for number 1 in the world is certainly closed for the summer season. If someone else takes it, I guess all hell will break loose. With all that said though, storylines will certainly unravel as this tournament plays out, so here is what to expect at Get On My Level 2023. For the almost 800 attendees traveling to Toronto, they will have to fight through some of Canada's finest if they have any hope of going deep in bracket. Toronto players like Foxmane Platt and Falconmane Gooseconn will be joining Moki's roommate and local Yoshi player Mono in hopes of defending the 6 from all of the invading American talent. All 3 of them have stacked up various top 3 finishes at locals, and notably Gooseconn had a great showing at the come-up where the Falcon placed 9th. Maher has been more active across North America, placing just behind Gooseconn for 13th at the come-up. This, paired with the Mars 25th at Nightclub VIP and 33rd at Battle of BC, have showcased his place as a household name amongst the Canadian middling talent. Then there's the pair of top 50 hopefuls in the Ontario Falcon Mateo and local Toronto Box Fox Zuppy. Mateo started the year off strong, placing 49th at Genesis, 33rd at Collision, and 2nd at Michigan Regional Bodied. His success continued over to the Canadian Super Regional, the Come-Up, where Mateo finished at an impressive 7th place. Having already netted wins over Midwest mainstays in Skurzo, KJH, and Ginger, Mateo will be looking to add to his already stellar resume. Toronto's number 2 and rising star Zuppy has also put himself at the top of Melee's hierarchy alongside the likes of Sunsei, Moki, and Amsa as a top Canadian smasher. His Fox really has found its footing, as reflected by his more than impressive run for 4th at Collision. He also found 2 more top 5 finishes at Super Regionals, Nightclub VIP, and the Come-Up. Already having a run where he defeated 3 top 20 players in Lod, Moki, and Amsa, Zuppy is poised to make another electric run here on his home turf. Shifting things outside of North America, there are 3 Europeans who will make their own trip across the pond after Fate 3. The Melee Stats sponsor DK enthusiast Mo had a great showing at Fate, defeating Frenzy in bracket before falling to Aklo and Sharp for 17th. For Max, the UK Premier Sheik will be looking to bounce back from his lackluster 25th place at Fate and possibly put together a resume as a top 50 contender come this summer. Frenzy is the last European attending, and despite dropping an early set to Mo in winner's side of Fate, Frenzy tore through losers, defeating Calvin, Stin, Ja Ryden, and Aster before falling to Joshman for 9th. Showcasing his continued dominance within EU, Frenzy will need to defend his top 100 ranking here at GOML, as his only other North American tournament was Genesis, where he placed 49th. Rising stars, regional bosses, or top 100 hopefuls, these batch of players are on the cusp of greatness within our niche scene and will all be looking to have a run here at GOML. Khalid, not the musician, is the Californian puff who propelled himself into the greater Melee scene through a monster run at Genesis, where he got 17th. Since then, he's had somewhat similar success at majors, placing both 25th at Collision and 33rd at Wave Dash. This, coupled with the 17th at Californian Regional DreamHack San Diego, showcased that while capable, Khalid will have to find the consistency to back up his skill if he wants to make the summer rankings. On the same character, Dawson found 17th at Collision, but has yet to replicate this success, placing 9th to 17th at Regionals, Creed, and Nightclub VIP, and after losing out to Salami and KJH, the Puff placed 25th at the LACS LCQ. Regional bosses Essie, JJM, Calvar, and Crike have all had ups and downs, placing highly at regionals with middling results at majors, but have been lacking in terms of wins over other notable players. All of them will be clawing through the onslaught of players and each other in hopes of squeaking out a good performance. Right alongside the regional bosses are the inactive trifecta of Lunar Dusk, who, after placing 33rd at Collision, has only entered online tournaments, the Swooper, who pops up here and there on occasion and managed to place 2nd at the regional Body 2, and the pair of Mango's friends in Null and Lucky, who seem to have started to pick things back up after placing 9th to 17th at various California majors and regionals. While Lunar Dusk and Swooper's characters make them more wildcards at this event, all 4 of them will want to put any doubters to rest come this weekend. The recent resurgence of Ben, KJH, and B-Bats have given them an edge above the previous players for one reason or another. Be it Ben's runs at Bodied, Combo Breaker, and most recently Invincible, where his Sheik put on a show in Losers, beating Slowking, Zamu, and Spark before losing to Wizzy. KJH's win at Bodied, an impressive run at the LACS LCQ where he barely missed out on bracket, placing 5th after beating Dawson, Fiction, and Stiv. All three of these players are in a perfect position to translate their regional success into a national, or I guess international level. To be good at Melee is one thing, but to be a top 20 contender is by no means an easy feat to achieve, and all of the following players have found a way to carve their name into contention for the top 20. OEM guru and tournament grinder Spark has continued to find top 3 placings at regionals and 9 to 17 placements at all 6 majors he's attended. His place as a gatekeeper seems all but assured, as time and time again he'll find his way to facing the best of the best but fall just a little bit short. While he thrives against those within his skill level as reflected by his wins over Salt, Polish, Aklo, S2J, and Kadoran, he just can't seem to break through that next level of players right now. But who knows, maybe GOML will change that as he's on tournament number 27 for this year, and if his trajectory continues to go up, he may find himself in top 8. Polish may have found their footing, as the last time they missed out on top 8 was back in April at Major Upset. Since then, they've placed 7th at Combo Breaker, 5th at Smash Camp, and tipped off, and most recently at Fate, they placed 7th once again. While their highs of beating the likes of Axe, Crudo, and Cody are paired with their lows of losing to other players like Junebug and Mech, they seem to be one of the current mainstays of top 8s. Here at GOML, however, the competition will be as fierce as ever. Sunsei's year has been one of a bit of mystery, as he's only attended 4 events and has had a mixed bag of results. At Genesis, he placed 17th, beating Pipsqueak before losing to Fiction and Toussaint, only to place 5th at his next tournament Major Upset, defeating the trifecta of floaties in Chango, Aura, and Lod. Then at Battle of BC, he barely missed out on top 8, but picked up a pair of wins on Spark and Moki, only to fall short of the Day 2 Swiss stage at LACS, placing 7th in the Last Chance qualifier, losing to the Pikachu Swift and the Foxmane Zamu. His anxiety-inducing Game 5 sets leave our stomachs in knots as he finds a way to keep every set as adrenaline pumping as possible. Perhaps with the Canadian crowd at his back, however, his opponents will be the ones on the receiving end of nerves. The Australian with Canadian residency has picked up the pace since moving to just outside of Toronto in May, competing at various tournaments across not only the US and Canada, but the world. Joshman's travels have proven quite fruitful, having placed 13th at Tip Top 14, 9th at LACS 5, 5th at Fate 3, and 2nd at Combo Breaker. This has given him quite the resume, as he's put up wins over players like Prof, Skurzo, Ben, Spark, Aklo, and even Leffen. Despite being away from competition for the first 3.5 months of the year, his short time has given him a spot as a top 20 contender in Melee's ever-growing list of talent. Aklo is in a pretty similar position, as he continues to be one of, if not the premier New York Fox, despite having such sparse major attendance. As of late, when Aklo does make it out to an event, he puts his name on the map, beating killers like Zuppy, Spark, Fiction, Moki, and Kadoran, and putting up results like 7th at Collision and Fate, and 3rd at the Nightclub VIP and Wave Dash. Aklo's talents continue to impress everyone, and at GOML, I'm sure this will remain true. S2J's back half of the summer season has been a mixed bag of results, as he's seen highs like 5th place finishes at Battle of BC, Wave Dash, and LACS's Last Chance qualifier, but he's failed to crack the code against players like Magi, Kadoran, Fiction, and Lod. This leaves Johnny right in that middle ground of top 8 threat and top 20 contender. It remains to be seen if Johnny can Falcon Punch his way through the competition and reclaim his spot as a top 15 staple. Kadoran's year has been plagued by one thing, and it's just missing out on top 8s, having placed 9th or 13th 4 times at majors. When he does crack into top 8, he seems to struggle, as his sole win versus the Titans at the top is against Cody at Tipped Off. And while that is a phenomenal win, it would seem that if Kadoran wants to be considered as a top 10 player, he'll need to find a way to compete against the tier of players that include Zane, Jmook, Amsa, Moki, and Hbox. The best Peach in the East graces us with his 4th performance of the year, and aside from the occasional fast faller loss, Lod has seen consistency that usually only comes with being a top 10 player. His back-to-back 5th place finishes at Collision and Major Upset are more than indicative of this. Not to mention his 2nd place finish at the Super Regional LTC, where he only lost to Salt, giving him one of the smallest but best player profiles of the year. Will GOML add to this, or will he finally falter to the rest of the talent in attendance? While the aforementioned players are competing for the top 20 to 10 spots on the summer rankings, these next batch of players are competing for the top 5 spots. And on that note, we decided to start with the wildcard himself, who will either rank in the top 10 or maybe the top 30. You may have a better chance of figuring out the Pikachu Ditto than predicting how Mango will perform at GOML. Will we see the kid who stormed his way through Tipped Off for an impressive 2nd place finish? Or perhaps the GOAT who clawed his way through the onslaught of middling talent for 5th at LACS? Or will we see Doc Lee bust her out for 97th once again? It's hard to say for sure, but what we do know is that if Mango makes it to Moki in bracket, he will try his heart out, as reflected by his stern 2-0 set lead this year and his lifetime 6-0 set count against the Canadian Fox. Needless to say, in every tournament Mango has been at, the rule has been Jokers are wild, consistently messing up everyone's bracket predictions while at the same time pulling out one of his secondaries to the dismay of his opponents. Hungrybox's continued place within the upper echelon of Melee's pecking order remains uncontested, as his stock is just as high as it's been before. The iconic Juan Debiedma has continued his recent string of success after winning DreamHack Dallas back in early June. His performances at CEO, LACS, and Fate give us a glimpse into his place that's been solidified for him since COVID, a top 8 mainstay that seems to have a growing list of bracket demons. Moki, Cody, and Zane are the only players who seem unfazed by HBox so far into the year, with HBox being a combined 0-8 against these 3. Against everyone else, however, HBox has it figured out, having no other losing records in 2023 aside from Wizzy and Plup, but do we really count either of them as they both descend from a mountain like once every 6 months? For HBox, if he can avoid these demons, he has a chance of finding a top 3 finish unless he decides to be the clutch god and breezes through the bracket like it's 2017 or GOML 2022 again. A Yoshi is going to be in top 5 contentions for the second ranking period in a row, and the resume of wins that AMSA has acquired continues to baffle Melee statisticians and low-tier doomers alike. These past 6 months, however, have been more than hard for our favorite Melee journeyman, as he's seen highs like his 5 regional wins and lows like placing 9th and 13th at Genesis and Collision respectively. While his only winning head-to-head against the top 6 is his 2-0 set count with Jmook, his Fox problem continues to be a thorn in his side, as against the pair of top Foxes in Moki and Cody, he's 0-9. If he wants to be able to take GOML, he's going to have to pull a couple tricks out of his eggs, as even against the likes of Zane and HBox, he's lost both of their last encounters. Will a Canadian crowd be what AMSA needs to hold up a trophy once more? Alright, we have to do a quick backtrack, as there is one more Toronto native that we must talk about, as this is his tournament. Don't believe me? Let's take a trip down memory lane. As the 2017 rankings were released, all the way down at the 96th spot was the name of quite possibly the best player to come out of Canada, Moki. But you would think he was much higher ranked than 96th after GOML 2018. Perhaps due in part to how volatile the Fox Ditto is, Moki defeated top player Ice, who at the time was ranked as the 28th best player in the world. Although Moki's run would be stopped by the pair of Marts in Mewtwo King and Zane for 9th, the next year at GOML, Moki would just have to outdo himself once again. At GOML 2019, Moki would then defeat the top 30 player KJH and go Game 5 with HBox before being sent to losers. This insatiable hunger would not be satisfied though, as he would next defeat Lucky in a Game 5 slobber knocker before playing Plup. Plup had just placed 3rd at both Pound 2019 and Genesis 6, meaning everyone who was watching thought Moki stood no chance. But the roars of the crowd and the tides of Melee favored Moki as he ended Plup 3-1 with a disgusting Daraki wall jump shine. This would ultimately mean that Moki beat out the 25th, the 18th, and the 4th best player of 2018 in his path to 7th place at GOML 2019. Even last year at GOML 2022, Moki still stacked up 3 top 50 wins in Skurzo, Null, and AMSA, earning him his second 7th place finish. So there, now you know it, and I know it, and you can bet for damn sure that Canada knows it, and Get On My Level is Moki's tournament. How cool would it be if the tournament that Moki had back-to-back breakout performances at would be his first major victory? There's a bit more on the line for the next 3 players, as all 3 have had stellar years. They continue to be the bane of each other's existence, as the fight for number 1 for the 2023 summer rankings may come down to this tournament. So let's recap. Cody's wins at Major Upset and Battle of BC are paired nicely with his top 3 finishes at Genesis, Collision, and LACS. Jmook, who started the year strong winning back-to-back majors in Genesis and Collision, has only seen gold at Pseudo-Major Wave Dash since having placed 2nd at Fate, 5th at CEO, 9th at Tipped Off, and 4th at Battle of BC. Zane's Marth's unparalleled level of consistency has seen him place outside of top 3 only once. Zane has won both Tipped Off and Fate, placed 2nd at both LACS and Collision, 3rd at Battle of BC, and 5th at Genesis. This leaves us with a pretty freaking elaborate Rochambeau on our hands between these 3. As expected, all of them have had pretty stellar head-to-heads for the year, with Zane being up against Cody, Moki, and HBox, tied with AMSA and down on Jmook. Jmook is up only on Moki and Zane, being tied with HBox and Cody, and down on AMSA. Cody is up on HBox AMSA, tied with Moki, Jmook, and down on Zane. Zane's worst loss with Marth, AMSA or Leffen. Cody's losses outside of the Titans, Zamu, Polish, or Kadoran. Jmook's only 2 losses outside of them, Moff and Wizrobe. My head hurts. I pray for the panelists who are making this ranking year, and this is crazy, as Melee, 20 plus years after its release, is having a more unpredictable year than ever. Want a break from watching Alt, or want more of your Melee fix after GOML Top 8 finishes at 5 p.m. Eastern? Well, you can tune into Smash and Scramble, Eggdog Esports' first Melee event held in Bellevue, Washington. With 54 attendees, the event starts just as GOML supposedly finishes, beginning at 5 p.m. Pacific. The Melee competition will quickly thin out, as the top 8 is set to stream by 7 p.m. Pacific, and joining me on the channel, I have the legendary Eggman himself and the owner of Eggdog Esports, Zamsire, to tell us about the event.
Despite the small attendee list, Smash and Scramble is somehow Washington's most stacked tournament since Emerald City X, and there are some of the PNW's finest itching for a crack at the 37th best player in 2019, Albert. attendees Graves, Jello, and Yamasaki will be at the top of the Oregon and Washington talent and will have to face invaders NMW, the aforementioned Albert, and up-and-comers Stiv. However, the real question mark is Daki, who after not competing since Emerald City X in 2022, is making his appearance back in Washington where he once was ranked as high as 3rd. With him being known as an online grinder during the Slippy era of Smash, having made 2 appearances at the Slippy Champions League, he's projected to place within the top 4 and will have much to prove after taking such a long hiatus. Recent breakout Slippy era Box Fox Stiv is the young gun that made waves during LACS LCQ, placing 7th and beating out Azel, Null, and SDJ. Perhaps it's the 17-year-old's prodigy status that may give him the confidence to not only beat out the aforementioned players, but possibly win the event as he solidifies himself as a top 50 hopeful. NMW is one of the 3 wildcards in attendance, as at every major he's attended in 2023, he's had to DQ during the latter half of the bracket. Having been a long-time anchor within the NorCal PR, his regional dominance knows no bounds, as he was ranked as high as 58 on the top 100 and 3rd in NorCal. But since switching to Box, the only tournament his Falcon has shown dominance at happened to also be located in Washington at Reign 4, where he took down Aura, Iceman, Graves, and Vincescent to take home first. We can't talk about Washington without talking about the local birds, specifically the 2 red-hot up-and-comers Graves and Jello. Graves, hailing from northern Washington, has been on a meteoric rise, shooting from 9th on the Washington PR to 2nd in just 5 months. Just this year, he's taken sets off of Aura, Stiv, NMW, Chango, and Iceman. The other bird being Jello, the poster child for Seattle. Although he hasn't entered a lot this year, the last in-state tournament he entered at Reign 7, he took down Stiv in 2 explosive sets. With wins on Fat Goku, Aura, Umarth, and Chango, both these young Falco players have a very real shot of taking home first this weekend and defending home turf. Finally, there's the number 1 seed Southern Falco Albert, who's coming out of hibernation to make his debut at his first Washington tournament as a resident. Having only attended 3 tournaments in 2022, he only attended 1 in 2023, that being LACS LCQ, where he placed 17th, losing to Zamu and SJ2, but managing to take win over the best doc in the world, Franz. It remains to be seen how the bracket will play out, but any of the top seeds will have a chance to take home the gold. So be sure to check out the stream at youtube.com/Zamsa.
But what do you think? Who do you have taking home the gold at GOML? Who do you think will have the run of their life? Who do you think ranks in the top 10? And who's getting scrambled at Smash and Scramble? Let us know in the comments below. This has been turndownforALT. Special thanks to our top tier patrons Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Dorian, Eric is Cool, Juniper, NNG Esports, Storm SSB, Storm, and Tingly Jungle for supporting the channel. Special thanks to Zamsire and Eggdog Esports for the feature, and since you're still here, you should watch another one of my videos, so click on over here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you over at GOML.